Black Diesel Garage, and in this video we're going to take this 1988 Ford Ranger and we're going to put a motor in it. It's a pretty clean little Ranger. Got some nice fat tires on the back. Tinted windows, got a little brow tint. It's got a couple dents there in the fender. But other than that, I think it's a straight rust-free truck. And those rims didn't come off of it, they came off a Mustang. And we actually have the rims that match this set. And we'll probably put those on the front and do a little driving around video once we have it running. But it's not a bad little truck. It has a bed liner, it's had water sitting in it. But an old lady owned it. Pretty nice interior other than the tear in the floor mat there and the cracks in the dash. Other than that, it's a really clean little truck. Very low miles. 3,000 miles, unless it's 103,000. But it's a really clean truck. The pedals don't appear to really have much wear on them. Seat doesn't really look wore out. It's got a 5-speed. But it's a nice little truck. Okay, the tailgate catches a little. It's got a kind of heavy steel bumper on it. This side of it's all straight. The doors work nice. Under the hood, has an inline 4-cylinder and it's a boat anchor. Literally. It's an inline 4, 5-speed 2-wheel drive. That motor there is locked up. I have a video where I get one of these kind of running at a junkyard and pull the motor. So since that inline 4 is locked up, we have another one. We're gonna pull this one out and swap them real quick. And then probably do a little video of it driving around. Maybe do some burnouts or drifting in it. Maybe something fun just because it's a cool little sporty truck. So I guess we'll just get to pulling the motor here. So I'm going to pull the 4 8mm bolts to hold the hood on. Next, I'm going to take the air cleaner off. Have a little probably 7 or 6mm there and there. Haven't seen that before. Feels like it's probably a 6mm, but the 7 might do it. So right here we have a vacuum line that goes to a vacuum box. Just tuck that out of the way. Unplug the coil wire. So far I don't have radiator fluid. There's probably radiator fluid in the bottom end. I'm probably gonna make a mess. I'll get a screwdriver and pull the alternator plugs. So down here we have the distributor plug. Which it appears all the tabs are snapped off, which is common for the plug on these. Here we have the plug for the choke. It's an electric choke on the carburetor. Have another vacuum line. Now I don't know quite what I'll do yet. This carburetor looks to be a little bit different setup than the one we got off the donor truck. Alternator appears to be the same. Motor mounts are the same. Both trucks do not have power steering. But the carburetor is a little bit different setup. I don't know if I'll go with the donor truck carburetor or if I'll stick with this one yet. Get the fuel line off of here. Found a drain pan. I'm gonna be a little bit smarter than normal. No fuel. Over on this side we have some more vacuum lines for smog. That one doesn't want to give up. Go ahead and remove this radiator hose. Nothing there. Now this is where I'm pretty confident I'm gonna get a leak. This other radiator hose. Found a funnel. Yeah, I already see moisture. It looks like just two 10 millimeters. Yep, to remove the radiator. And removing the radiator is only 2 bolts. So, just for sake, so you don't damage your radiator. I guess it's also the overflow line, which is easy. But just so you don't damage your radiator, and you'd have to take your shroud off anyways, and you gotta pull your motor forwards. It's just really easy to remove, so just pull it out. It looks like the throttle cable cover is just popped on there. Little plastic fasteners. Which it is. Just those Christmas tree fasteners. And the throttle cable is all just pop with the screwdriver, get it on and off. Got that unhooked. I have just a rubber hose on this side that runs to the pipe that meets up with the exhaust for the smog system. So I'm just gonna unfasten that. And I'll probably just do away with the thing. I doubt this truck will ever be in California, so it doesn't matter if it has smog or not. All it does is make you get worse gas mileage. And there's quite a few more vacuum lines on here and looks like wiring harness stuff. It's a little greasy and kind of hard to see what all needs to come off. So I think I have most everything unhooked. I have to undo the motor mounts, the exhaust, and unbolt it from the transmission. But as vacuum lines and stuff, there's probably a ground somewhere to the frame on the motor still. But as far as vacuum lines, I'll probably just get everything unhooked and pull it out a little bit and only undo the vacuum lines and things I have to, because right now it's kind of hard to see all that, and it'll just be easier once it's partially pulled. So I'm gonna go ahead and tackle the motor mounts next. I think it's a 3/4 wrench. Got a 3/4 Flexiting ratcheting wrench, Gear Wrench brand, and that should make it easier. And it is not 3/4, so it's like 11/16. So I do not have an 11/16 ratcheting wrench, so just have to go with the normal basic wrench. And of course it's metric, so it's not 11/16. It's probably 18. 18 milliliter ratcheting mechanism. Little booger's tight. One motor mount bolt. This one's a lot easier to reach. I got 2 motor mount bolts. I forgot the heater core hoses. If you don't have one of these, go to Harbor Freight and get yourself one of these. These are handy. I'm just gonna guess for the exhaust, 15 or 14 millimeter. Well, that does not want to break loose very easy, so I might do that underneath the truck. go ahead, clean up my mess, and jack this thing up. And we interrupt you for a commercial break on Snap-on lights. Now, since I'm not sponsored by Snap-on, it's not linked below. You won't find it there. You'll find it on the Snap-on truck. But here's just a handy light. Works great for ball joints. If you have your tire off and you're doing ball joints, it's got a light on the front. If you click the button, has a light on the bottom there, a big bar. Has a light on the top, and then it bends here, has a magnet here to keep it closed, magnet on the bottom, magnets on the back, a clip, which I'm always using this light, so I'll stick it just on my pocket all the time like that. And then it also, if you turn it on and you hold the button, it dims and brightens. And I think on full bright, this has like a 2-hour life, and it's a rechargeable light. Just a real handy thing. I figured I'd show it. I think it was around $130, which seems expensive, but it's Snap-on, so it has a lifetime warranty. So if it breaks, which I break a lot of these lights, it's lifetime warranty. I got quite a bit of my life left. I'll probably break a lot of little lights, which this just gets replaced if I break it. So it's a good reason to buy one of these. Not that bad of a price for something that has a lifetime warranty, and it's just a great light and has better magnets than most. I bought the cheap ones and you stick them up somewhere and they're always falling down, so, and they break when they fall down. This one has good magnets on it, so if you do a lot of mechanicking, get yourself a Snap-on light. I don't know what it's called, it's a flexi light. And back to the video. The very unfun part about being a mechanic is stuff like this just isn't avoidable. Now, that isn't too bad, but it's just not fun getting stuff like that. And then the worst thing is when it's scabbed and you accidentally knock the scab off and just a tiny little skin scrape, but yet it just bleeds all over the place once it's scabbed over and you rip your scab. And that's not fun just because you get blood on everything. Well, it's around 4 days later, and I basically had everything unhooked, but my phone died, so I'm ready to pull the motor out. It's a Monday, and it's a little cold out, Friday it's supposed to be like 16 degrees. Lovely Kansas blowing weather. So I'm hopefully gonna get this done before Friday. I got a lot going on this week, so I don't know if I will. But yeah, basically my phone died, so should be ready to pull out now. They just fall out if you actually hook them level. Who'd have thought? So here's the motor. And there's the engine bay. Looks like something's been up in the transmission. Mice or something. This one was a little greasy. The one I'm putting in wasn't as greasy. Got a lot of vacuum lines. All that unnecessary stuff. And then there was this plug which went to the bottom of the carburetor area. I don't know what that was for. And right there's, I think, the oil pressure sensor, maybe water temp, on the back side of the block over about here. I know I'm probably gonna forget to plug that in. But the old one is out and on the cherry picker. So I guess I ought to set that somewhere and dig that motor out. Yeah, dig that motor out and put it in the little pickup truck. And there we go. Good flashlight. Actually, wasn't. And I know some of you are thinking I'm using a clawfoot hammer. Yes, but it is a hammer, so deal with it. If you're one of those people who think you have to have an automotive hammer for this, not a clawfoot hammer, it's okay. Calm down. Okay. Not all of us can afford an automotive hammer. But yeah, I could afford this, but. Okay guys, welcome back. It's a few days later. I was filming it and my phone died and I didn't have time, so I just went ahead and threw the motor in there and hooked everything up that night. But I did decide to wait till my phone was charged up. It's a whole different day to actually try to start the truck. So I got a couple of flat tires on this side. And the motor's all in there. A couple things aren't fully fastened the way they go. And a few things are different, like the throttle on this. It may or may not have full travel, I don't know. Just because things are a little different. I had to swap motor mounts from the old motor. It's only a couple years difference, but they moved the motor mount hole like 1.5 inches forwards, or 1.5 inches back, so it's all in there. I just filled some gas in the tank because it was empty. Put a little in the carburetor and see if it'll start. Put about 2 gallons in the tank. Hopefully at some point it starts pulling out of the tank. Might be getting close. When I had it running there for a second, it sounded like the key buzzer kept running. So I might have something wired wrong. Maybe not as close as I thought. Maybe I can be quick enough to step on the clutch, start it, and keep spraying. So I just shut the door, and for some reason the door buzzer buzzes. It's not that, even when it's running, the door buzzer buzzes. I don't know if that's normal for these or not. I'm gonna pull off the fuel line and see if there's fuel, because I would have thought that would have been enough to get it from the tank. So I'm gonna pull off the fuel line and see if we're getting fuel. Okay, so I pulled off that fuel line where it goes into the pump, and I filled it with fuel with my water bottle. So hopefully I didn't have fuel in that end. So hopefully that primes it, because there could be a chance it needed primed. And I may have to even pull this line off and put fuel down this line. But I just did on that one. That might work. Let's see what we get. Can't tell, it might be running a hair smoother and a hair longer. So it might have fuel. I don't see any fuel spots on the ground. Sorry for not filming this. I don't have a bipod or anything, or tripod. It's hard to hold a phone and do this at the same time. And I'm gonna pull that line off again and see if there's still fuel in it. Probably not. It probably sucked that up and isn't pulling out of the tank for some reason. So I undid that, and I didn't have any fuel sitting in it. So I took an air compressor and I blew down the line. I also stuck my air wand wrapped in a paper towel in the tank and pressurized the tank. And when I blew down the line, I didn't hear bubbles in the tank. And I pressurized the tank, I didn't hear air or see fuel up here. So I'm assuming most likely there's a blockage somewhere. And then I put a water bottle on here and basically just pressurized fuel down there. And then I put some fuel down the carb. So it'll probably fire up and run for a tiny bit. But I bet I have a fuel blockage somewhere, and I bet it probably won't keep running. So let's give it a shot. So yeah, we're still not getting fuel. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Well, for satisfaction purposes and the plain simple fact that this is in my way and I need it to move, I dropped a lawnmower tank in there with a gas line leading up to the slurpy dealio. So we're gonna hear this thing fire now. It has no choice other than to fire. Oh yeah, the fact that that line is higher than the fuel level might be a problem. There. Problem solved. This is the part where you go vroom vroom. I took the actual fuel line off right there and I cranked it over and no fuel ever came out. So I ran fuel down that line and maybe that'll work. Maybe not. We'll see. It'd be much appreciated if you came to life. Okay, well, it didn't keep running on that, so I'm gonna assume I have a bad fuel pump. And one thing I think can happen, I'm not certain, is the rubber diaphragm might have ripped and I might be leaking it down into the oil pan. I don't have a good nose, but that kind of smells like fuel to me. That's not good. Okay, so I think this is the last attempt for the night. I did change the fuel pump because I pulled the one off and it was bad. So I pulled the one off the parts motor. And I filled this fuel line with fuel and I took this one off here and filled it with fuel. So I have 2 gallons in the tank. Hopefully it works. It is a little weird I wasn't able to blow fuel out this. I'm just hoping everything works. So put some fuel in it, hop in, fire it up, and hopefully it'll keep running. So it's still didn't run. Had pressure, so we're not getting fuel from the tank. But maybe if I throw that other tank back on here, maybe then. I'll give that a try. Okay, so we're leaking fuel out that. I don't know if that's a return or it's not supposed to be leaking or is. But it's leaking there. And it about wants to die out of idle, but it's running. So now I can get it out of my way. So I'm gonna fix those issues sometime to wrap up the video. But for tonight, I think I'm gonna air up the tires and get it out of here.
And did she die? She died. Oh, she's alive. And we are rolling. And old John Smith done broke down. Oh, fire!
Well, can't remember where I left off. I think I wasn't getting fuel to the carb on the Ranger, and the carb needed rebuilt. But I rebuilt the carburetor, not on video, and I fired it up, and I wanted to move it. I don't know how many miles is here from there. I don't know, 20 miles, let's say. I wanted to move it 20 miles from the location it was at. So it was going to be getting dark, so I didn't film anything. I just jumped in it, fired up the Ranger, and started driving it. And it ran, but I have some vacuum lines not hooked up. I didn't have a air cleaner on it. What else wasn't right? Oh yeah, I was just running out of a 1-gallon tank underneath the hood. So, got probably 7 miles down the road, and the exhaust was all glowing red, but the temperature gauge said the truck wasn't hot, so I assumed the exhaust was just plugged. So I pulled over, refilled it up with gas, chopped the exhaust off, and it started, and didn't really want to start, but it did start, and it ran a little better, but didn't run good. It started running a hair rough. Didn't seem like anything wrong with the motor rough though when I came to stop. So it started running, but didn't run like it should have. So we ended up hooking the other truck to it last night, and Maddie pulled it back while I was steering the other truck. And we got it almost to a town that we're driving in now. And we just parked it outside because we didn't want to drag it with a chain through town at nighttime. So now we're going to pick it up and pull it home, or maybe drive it. That thing is still might get pulled over because I chopped the exhaust, so it's noisy. But I assume it didn't run good because the exhaust was all glowing red, so probably got everything hot and not functioning right. But that would probably just be because the cat or the muffler was probably plugged on the truck. So get right back to you.
Hi.
Yeah. It doesn't want to start, so we're gonna pull it.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Like I actually thought I could just take that motor and stick it in this truck. Wrong. So what happened is I got it running, and I can't remember how much video I got of it running, but I got it running and it ran really nice, but it slowly just got worse and worse as it was running. And I started having oil come up out of the distributor and come up out of the dipstick, and it just started running horrible, and now it doesn't even want to run. But I pulled the spark plugs and checked compression, and if you look here, number 1 cylinder had like 40 psi, number 2 cylinder had 120 psi, number 3 cylinder had 40 psi, and number 4 cylinder had 100 psi. So these 2 cylinders were low on pressure, and I pulled the spark plugs and checked with the compression tester. I think I already said that, but that tells me I pulled the valve cover and cranked it over, and it doesn't seem to be coming from the top end, and with the oil coming out of the distributor and out of the dipstick, for some reason, I don't know why, maybe it had rust in the cylinders, but something happened with the rings of this motor on the pistons as it was running. So now on those 2 cylinders, I have pressure going down into my crankcase and low pressure on those cylinders, so it doesn't run worth a darn. But when life gives you lemons, you just keep fixing them, I think. So the plan is get rid of the motor and probably V8 swap it. I don't know what V8 motor yet, but the plan now is just go ahead and V8 swap it and drop it and do cool things. Well, Mickey, and what do you think about that? Quiet, Thomas! I told you, you were never loved as a child. Now go to your room. Oh, hey there. I figured if I was gonna be a Ford Ranger person, I'd just try to fit the bill, you know, fit in with the cool kids. But if you enjoyed this, which I don't know why you wouldn't, it's a Ranger, duh. Then just go ahead and click the like button for me, and thanks for watching this video. Oh, and by the way, I said it in the beginning, but all the popping and stuff was because I had low compression and was blowing blowing my compressors down into the oil pan and shooting up the oil from the 1 and 3 cylinders. But thanks for watching, and tune back in someday far away from now in a land far away, far ago, whatever, something like that. A long time ago in a land far away, where we put I don't know, maybe an inline 4 diesel, maybe an inline 6 diesel, or maybe a big V8 in the Ranger. So thanks for watching. Bye.